Elena, answer me, why is there a stranger living in the condo I wired you money for 3 years ago? Her words sliced through the warm hum of Christmas Eve dinner. Clatter. Across from me, my mother Beatrice had dropped her fork onto her plate. I stopped, wine glass halfway to my lips, and slowly looked up. My Aunt Claire's gaze pierced straight past me, skewering my sister Sarah, who sat rigid beside me, then our mother. Having just flown in from Singapore after 5 years managing her tech firm abroad, Aunt Claire seemed sharper than before. Wrapped in an aura that allowed no casual deflection. Aunt Claire, what did you just say? My voice trembled. The words sounded far too unreal to someone like me, someone who'd been sleeping on a friend's couch for 3 months after my landlord evicted me. Didn't you hear me, Elena? I'm talking about the 2-bedroom condo in Riverside Heights. The place I sent you $200,000 for as a down payment. For your future. Her voice was calm, but beneath it I could feel something like boiling magma. Aunt Claire, there must be some mistake. I don't own any condo. I'm basically homeless right now. Now back to the story in full. 3 days earlier, I'd stared at that first-class ticket confirmation like it was a winning lottery slip. My name. Seat 2A. A personal note from Mom that read, "Come home for Christmas, sweetheart. We miss you." For the first time in 5 years, I thought maybe they actually saw me. Maybe all those double shifts at the hospital, all those missed calls because I was too exhausted to speak, had finally earned me a place at their table. The plane landed at 6 p.m. I took a rideshare to the house I grew up in, the colonial with the wraparound porch that Sarah always posted about on Instagram with captions like "blessed" and "family is everything." My mother opened the door before I could knock. No hug. No smile. Just a once-over glance at my wrinkled sweater and the duffel bag slung over my shoulder. "Oh good, you're here. Sarah's running late and the twins have been fussy all day." She turned and walked back inside, leaving the door open like I was the pizza delivery guy. I stepped into the foyer, confused. That's when I saw it. A diaper bag. A laminated schedule magnet to the fridge. My name written at the top in my sister's loopy handwriting. "What is this?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. "Your schedule, obviously," Beatrice said, not even looking up from her phone. "Sarah and I leave for Aruba tomorrow morning. You'll watch the twins until New Year's. It's only 10 days, Elena. Don't be dramatic. The first-class ticket wasn't a gift. It was bait." And I'd swallowed the hook whole. I stood there, frozen, staring at the schedule like it might rearrange itself into something that made sense. Wake up 6 a.m. bottles every 3 hours. Nap time. Bath time. Bedtime routine. Mom, I have work. I'm a nurse. I can't just take 10 days off during the holidays. We're short-staffed as it is. Beatrice finally looked up, her expression soft and concerned in that practiced way that always made me second-guess myself. She walked over and placed a hand on my shoulder. "Sweetheart, that's exactly why we're worried about you." "Worried? You've been working yourself to the bone, Elena. Your sister told me you called her crying last month, saying you couldn't keep up anymore. You sounded unstable." My stomach dropped. I had called Sarah. Once. After a 72-hour shift when a patient coded and I couldn't save him. I'd been grieving, not unstable. "That's not what that was," I said slowly. "Honey, you don't even realize how bad it's gotten," she continued, her voice dipping into that syrupy tone she used when she wanted to sound reasonable. "This time at home will be good for you. Quiet. Low stress. Just you and the babies. No pressure. You can rest." "Rest," I repeated flatly. "By babysitting newborn twins alone for 10 days. It's called healing through service, Elena," Sarah chimed in, breezing into the kitchen in a silk robe with a green clay mask on her face. "Some of us understand that family comes first. But if you're too selfish to help, just say that." Selfish. That word again. The one they always used when I hesitated, when I asked questions, when I didn't immediately fold. I looked between them. My mother's concerned smile. My sister's cold eyes. And I realized something chilling. They'd planned this. I agreed. Not because I wanted to, but because I didn't have the energy to fight. Not yet. Sarah and Beatrice left the next morning in a flurry of matching luggage and excited chatter about spa packages and sunset dinners. I stood in the doorway holding a screaming twin in each arm, watching their Uber pull away. The first 2 days were a blur of diapers, bottles, and exhaustion. On the third day, while the twins napped, I sat down on the couch and noticed Sarah's iPad wedged between the cushions. I pulled it out. It was still unlocked. The screen showed her Messages app, and at the top of the list was a group chat I'd never seen before. The name made my blood run cold. The bank, Elena. My hands trembled as I opened it. The messages went back years. Mom, transferred another $1,500 from Elena's medical fund today. She still hasn't noticed LOL. Sarah, obsessed. Did you see the cabins I booked for the Mediterranean cruise? All thanks to our favorite ATM credit card sparkles. Mom, she just texted me asking if I could help with her rent this month. I told her to budget better, face with tears of joy. Sarah, she's so pathetic. Works 3 jobs and still can't get her life together. If she only knew where her money actually went. I scrolled further. Receipts for designer handbags. Vacation screenshots. A photo of Sarah's twins in a $900 stroller, captioned, Elena's Christmas gift came early, wrapped gift. My chest tightened. My vision blurred. They hadn't just used me. They'd mocked me while doing it. I screenshotted everything. Every message. Every receipt. Every cruel joke. Then I opened my contacts and scrolled to a name I hadn't touched in 6 years. Uncle Victor. The phone rang 3 times before a gravelly voice answered. Elena. I hadn't heard Uncle Victor's voice since I was 19, since the massive family blowout that got him exiled from every holiday, every birthday, every gathering. My mother had called him a liar, a troublemaker, someone who couldn't accept that family takes care of each other. Uncle Victor. It's me. There was a long pause. Then, quieter, what did they do to you? That simple question broke something open inside me. I told him everything. The plane ticket. The babysitting trap. The group chat. The stolen money. When I finished, he let out a long, bitter sigh. They did the same thing to me, he said. 20 years ago. What? Your grandmother left me a trust fund when I turned 25. $50,000. Beatrice was supposed to help me access it since I was overseas in the military. But every time I asked, she had an excuse. Said the paperwork was delayed. Said I was too immature to handle it. Said I should let her invest it for me. His voice turned sharp. By the time I came home and demanded to see the account, it was empty. She drained it. Gave half to your dad's business and used the rest to renovate the house. When I threatened to sue, she turned the whole family against me. Said I was greedy. Ungrateful. Mentally unstable. There was that word again. Unstable. I've been waiting 20 years for someone else in that family to wake up, Victor continued. Looks like it's finally your turn. What do I do? You fight back, Elena. And you fight dirty. When Beatrice and Sarah returned from Aruba, tanned and glowing, I was waiting in the dining room with a full Christmas dinner spread. Turkey. Mashed potatoes. Gravy. The works. Oh, Elena, this is wonderful, my mother cooed, setting down her carry-on. See. I told you this time at home would be good for you. Sarah smirked. Glad you finally learned how to be useful. I smiled. I just wanted to say thank you. For everything. For the ticket. For trusting me with the twins. For always looking out for me. Beatrice's eyes softened. She actually looked proud. We sat down to eat. I poured the wine. Asked about their trip. Laughed at Sarah's stories about snorkeling and cocktails by the pool. And when dessert was served, I finally spoke. I have something I need to tell you both. Oh. Beatrice set down her fork. I've been doing a lot of thinking these past 10 days. And you're right. I've been struggling. Mentally. Financially. Emotionally. Sarah exchanged a glance with Mom, a smug little smile tugging at her lips. But I'm not struggling anymore, I continued, my voice steady. Because 3 days ago, I hired a forensic accountant and a lawyer. His name is Mr. Sterling. He's actually waiting outside in his car right now with a very interesting folder. The color drained from Beatrice's face. What are you talking about? Sarah's voice cracked. I pulled out my phone and placed it on the table, open to a screenshot of their group chat. Let's start with the bank, Elena, shall we? Sarah's hand shot out and swiped my phone off the table. This is fake. You doctored this. Give it back, I said calmly. Or I'll have Mr. Sterling add theft to the list. Beatrice stood up so fast her chair tipped backward. Elena, I don't know what you think you found, but this is ridiculous. We're your family. We would never steal from me. I finished. Let's test that theory. I walked to the front door and opened it. Mr. Sterling stepped inside, a slim man in his 50s with silver hair and wire-rimmed glasses. He carried a leather briefcase that he set on the dining table with a heavy thud. Good evening, Mrs. Hayes. Miss Hayes. He nodded politely at my mother and sister, then turned to me. Hayes. He nodded politely at my mother and sister, then turned to me. Miss Elena, shall we begin? I nodded. Mr. Sterling opened the briefcase and pulled out a thick stack of documents. These are bank statements from 3 credit cards opened in Miss Elena Hayes' name over the past 4 years. The applications were submitted online using her social security number, date of birth, and previous addresses. He slid the first page toward Sarah. This card was opened on March 14, 2019. The billing address listed is your current residence, Miss Sarah Hayes. The IP address traced back to this household. Sarah's mouth opened, but no sound came out. The current balance on this card alone is $18,000, Mr. Sterling continued, flipping to the next document. Charges include luxury handbags, spa treatments, and a 7-day cruise to the Mediterranean. None of which Miss Elena authorized or benefited from. This is insane, Beatrice stammered. Sarah wouldn't. There are 2 more cards, I interrupted, my voice ice cold. One with a balance of $12,000. Another with $9,000. That's $39,000 in fraudulent debt. In my name. Destroying my credit while you sipped piña coladas on a beach. Sarah finally found her voice, shrill and desperate. You can't prove I did it. Anyone could have used your information. Mr. Sterling smiled thinly. The spending patterns say otherwise. Shall we continue? Mr. Sterling pulled out another document, this one aged and slightly creased. I recognized it immediately. My stomach twisted. This, he said, holding it up, is an emergency loan agreement allegedly signed by Miss Elena Hayes 2 years ago. It states that in exchange for financial assistance during a medical emergency, Miss Elena agreed to transfer ownership of her vehicle, a 2017 Honda Accord, to her mother, Beatrice Hayes. I remember signing that, I said quietly. I had appendicitis. No insurance. Mom said she'd cover the hospital bill if I signed paperwork so she could use my car while I recovered. And you trusted her, Mr. Sterling said, not unkindly. I did. He set the document on the table. This paper, however, tells a different story. We ran a forensic analysis on it. Standard procedure in fraud cases. He pulled out his tablet and displayed a magnified image of the document. At first, it looked normal. But then he adjusted the filter, and tiny yellow dots appeared scattered across the page, invisible to the naked eye. "These are called machine identification codes," Mr. Sterling explained. "Most color printers embed them automatically. They record the printer's serial number and the exact date and time the document was printed." Beatrice's face went white. "According to these dots, this document was printed 9 months ago. But Miss Elena's appendicitis occurred 2 years ago." He looked up, his gaze sharp. "Which means this so-called emergency loan agreement was fabricated retroactively." "That's impossible," my mother whispered. "The metadata doesn't lie, Mrs. Hayes. You forged this document, backdated it, and used it to transfer your daughter's car into your name. That car was then sold 6 months ago for $11,000. Money Miss Elena never saw." I looked at my mother, my voice shaking. "You stole my car. You sold it. And you let me believe I owed you." She had no answer. "Enough of this," Sarah snapped, standing abruptly. "We're leaving. You want to play lawyer? Fine. We'll see you in court. But right now, we have a flight to catch." I blinked. "Flight? We're going to Vancouver for New Year's," Beatrice said stiffly, gathering her purse. "This conversation is over." "We booked it months ago," Sarah added, her voice dripping with fake sweetness. 5-star hotel. All inclusive. Maybe while we're gone, you'll come to your senses and remember what family means." They moved toward the door, dragging their suitcases behind them. I didn't stop them. I just stood there, watching. Mr. Sterling raised an eyebrow. "Aren't you going to?" "No," I said quietly. "Let them go." He nodded slowly, understanding blooming in his eyes. 12 hours later, my phone buzzed. It was a call from Sarah. I let it ring twice before answering. "Elena," she shrieked. "What did you do?" I could hear the chaos in the background. Announcements. Crying children. The unmistakable noise of an airport. "I don't know what you mean," I said sweetly. "Our tickets were flagged. They're saying the credit card used to purchase them was reported stolen. We're stuck at the gate and they won't let us board." I took a sip of my tea, letting the silence stretch. "Elena, answer me." "Oh, that," I said lightly. "I reported those credit cards stolen. Because they were. You stole my identity, opened them in my name, and racked up tens of thousands of dollars in debt. So yes, I reported them. All 3. You can't do this." Beatrice's voice joined in, shrill and frantic. "We'll be stranded." "That's unfortunate," I replied. "But I'm sure you'll figure it out. You're very resourceful when it comes to using other people's money." I hung up. Mr. Sterling, sitting across from me, allowed himself a small smile. That was cold. That was justice. 1 year later, I stood on the balcony of my downtown high-rise, watching the city lights flicker to life as the sun set. The apartment was mine. Fully paid for with the money I'd recouped through restitution, settlements, and the sale of my mother's house, which the court had seized as part of the judgment. Turns out, when you commit identity theft, fraud, and forgery, the legal system doesn't take kindly to it. Beatrice was sentenced to 18 months. Sarah got probation and a felony record that tanked her influencer career overnight. Uncle Victor called me once a month now. We'd grown close. He told me he was proud of me. I hadn't spoken to my mother or sister since the trial. They sent letters sometimes. Apologies that reeked of desperation, not remorse. I burned them without reading past the first line. I didn't need their love anymore. I didn't need their approval. I had something better. I had my freedom. My peace. And a life built on my own terms. As I looked out over the skyline, my phone buzzed with a text from a coworker. "Drinks tomorrow?" I smiled. Absolutely. Behind me, the apartment was quiet. Clean. Mine. And for the first time in my life, I felt like I could finally breathe. If this story resonated with you, I'd love for you to subscribe. This channel only grows because people like you share these stories, support this community, and remind others they're not alone in their struggles. Let's keep building this space together.